In the last video, we were talking about what happened. The colonies got all settled, and then as the British colonies kind of got crowded and colonists began to move west, there were some issues with France. This shows a map of French influence. Even though up here was British claimed territory, it was heavily influenced by the French. That's where they had forts. You can see Spain's influence in land here. And then, and just to help you orient, here is the Mississippi. And so, a little off kilter there, but this was all French territory, and the conflict that arose as British subjects began to move in this Ohio River Valley, and it came to a war. The French and the Indians and Great Britain, they fought. The French eventually lost because they lost the battles up in Canada. And there was the Treaty of Paris, which established all new boundaries for the victors. And the victor was England. And you can see here's French territory. Now that is all British territory, all throughout there. You will see no more French claims in North America, because this part of the French claims in North America under the treaty were now given to Spain. And Spain has all this. Spain did lose Florida, but Spain gained everything west of the Mississippi. We gained everything east of the Mississippi. So now what does that mean? The king, he gained not only this territory, but a lot of French lands all throughout the world, other colonies. So what does this mean for the king and the colonists? So what comes next? And that is what we're going to look at. The Native Americans aren't happy. The British won, so thousands of colonists begin to flock into the Ohio River Valley, and the Native Americans are attacking them. They're like, no way. You are not pushing us off our land as you have our fellow tribes along the eastern coast. So they were constantly, Native Americans under the leadership of Pontiac, they rebel, they kill settlers, and the settlers attack back, and nothing is safe here. And so the king has a problem, because he has just negotiated a peace in this area, and he needs to bring his soldiers back because of the cost. So, the king says, I can't handle colonists getting killed and tensions going on with the Native Americans who are still being helped by the French, even though we negotiated this peace. So the king said, I'm done, I'm broke. I'm making a proclamation. I'm making a rule. And he made this proclamation in 1763, right at the end of the war. To prevent any more wars with the Native Americans, as colonists moved in here, there was fighting throughout this whole area and attacks. The colonists were not allowed to move past this line. So the king, in a sense, put a line in the sand and said, yes, this is my territory, but no, you cannot move there. It is against the law. It is forbidden. The colonists' reaction to that was, we fought and died for this. We have lost fathers and brothers and husbands, and we earned the right to move there. That is British territory. We should be able to move there. And so a lot of them said, screw you, king, and colonists kept moving into the Ohio River Valley. The king had a real problem because the war, sending the soldiers over here, is highly expensive, and he had a huge debt from the war. Huge debt. And he's had other conflicts in Europe, and so the king has no money. And he's a little perturbed already with the colonists, and he's like, we fought for land over that you guys are able to use. You should pay for this, not me. the colonies should be taxed and paid for that to cover the cost of the war, since the colonists are the ones who are going to benefit. So you see the two different perspectives. Colonists believed they had a right. The king said they ought to pay for it. Now the king, in order to enforce this proclamation, he had to send thousands of troops to protect the settlers that had moved in and to prevent people from continuing to come in. And that cost thousands and millions of dollars. So, the king said, in order to do it, you just can't move there. It's as simple as that. So, the king said, nobody can move there, but I still have a huge debt. And because we fought this land in your area for you, you are going to help pay for it, colonists. And you're going to do this by me imposing a tax on sugar. Now, it's not just sugar, but it's sugar under this tax included molasses and other things. So, the king not only does the proclamation of 1763, but he passes the Sugar Act. And the Sugar Act is there's an import tax on molasses and other products. And what that means to import is to bring those things into the country. So, the molasses and sugar that didn't naturally grow here, and the molasses, that was brought to the colonies. And the king said, well, everybody likes their sugar, and everybody uses molasses for cooking and all these other things. It's a great way for me to get a lot of money. And then, and the colonists, well, it'll be taxed when it goes to the colonies, and then they're paying for the war, and it's all good. There were severe punishments if you tried to smuggle it in. How did the colonists react? They responded in anger and loud complaints to the king, protests and this and all that. And the king's like, well, I have to keep all these 10,000 troops there to try to protect you people as you move into where I told you you can't. So a year later, the king is not satisfied with just this tax. He says, in order for me to enforce the proclamation of 1763, I have to keep 10,000 soldiers in the colonies to keep you fools from moving into the Ohio River Valley. If I have to do that, I will not pay for it. You, by law, will have to quarter, and what quartering means is to house somebody, to let them live in your house and for you to provide food and shelter. So you would have to quarter or house British troops. So in other words, you would have to have a British soldier, somebody you didn't know, living in your home. And we talked about, and we showed you earlier pictures of Jamestown and these places. These houses were not large, especially farmhouses. And so, and you had to provide them with food and other supplies they needed. So if they needed bullets, you provided the bullets. If they wanted, if they ate your last bit of food, so what? That was part of the law. And the colonists protested angrily. They complained that their rights were being violated, that you cannot force us to house and protect and take care of government soldiers. That is the government's job. And the government's saying, yeah, we're getting our job done through you. So the tensions now are increasing. So make sure you understand what the Sugar Act was, and then about a year after the proclamation of 1763, around 1764, the Quartering Act was passed. But things did not end there. The colonists protest, and the king says, okay, we're going to do some other taxes. And that is what we're going to look at next.